Hey, Conquerors. I am live. Trying to set up a little bit. I am live. I'm so excited. There we go. I hope you guys are doing great today. I am live. And I decided to come on here and talk about a little bit of my weight loss journey and what led me to losing over 100 pounds. And so I started my journey in 2020. Um, and I've been able to maintain a 100-pound weight loss for the past 3.5 years. And so walking and fasting is very powerful if you want to, you know, get in shape and lose weight. And I know when I first started my journey, right, I was well over 300 and something pounds, and I couldn't do a whole lot because of my size, right? Um, and so walking was just the easiest form of exercise for me to do. And at the time, my daughter, she was about 2 or 3. So I would pop her, I would put her into the stroller, and then we would just I would, put her in the stroller and we would just walk. And I walked for about 30 minutes. And so I I built up that time. And so, I built up the endurance to be able to walk longer. And like I said, I couldn't do a whole lot because I weighed like over almost 340, 50 pounds. I couldn't do a whole lot. So walking was just really good for me at that time. I was still recovering from I had a knee injury. I sprained my knee, and then I had a ankle injury. So I was still recovering from injuries and different things. So walking was just the best form of exercise for me to do, and I did it. Now, as far as with my eating, um, I had been hearing a lot about OMAD. I had been hearing a lot about fasting, and fasting. There's a lot of spiritual and health benefits to fasting. And so I decided to, fast. And what I decided was I was going to eat just one meal a day. And yeah, one meal a day. And I had to work my way up to that. It wasn't like I just decided to, um, you know, um, just start fasting out of the blue, right? I'm a Christian, so fasting is a part of, I would fast, right? But I didn't use it to lose weight. I was just fasting so that, I could, spend time with the Lord and different things like that. But I decided, okay, I'm going to fast. And I started to do OMAD, and I started to work my way up to it. So I started off doing like 16 and 8. So I would fast for 16 hours, and then I would eat during that 8 hour window. The 8 hour window, and I was fine. And then gradually I pushed it up to eventually where I was just eating one meal a day. And they call it OMAD, so one meal a day. And it was hard in the beginning. And literally, like, until I got used to it, I would, and I'm not gonna lie, right? And I'm just talking about what I did to lose the weight, right? Everyone is different. Everyone's body is different. You make sure you go to your doctor and do all the things that you need to do, for your health. I'm just talking about for me, what worked for me. And so yeah, so when I started doing the OMAD, I would literally like fill up my plate because I was scared that you're not eating till the next day. So, okay, let me get all of my, calories in one meal. And what I found was um, when I got used to it, like over time, I noticed, okay, I could gradually just, I wouldn't eat as much, right? But still making sure I got all my calories and all of that. But OMAD was so powerful for me. So April of 2020, so March of 2020, remember it was the pandemic, right? The pandemic happened. And so from March until April 2020. Like DoorDash had me in a in a chokehold. I was ordering DoorDash, just crazy. And so April 2020, I had a situation happen, and that was the day I decided. Like, I came home and I wrote in my journey, in my journal, like, okay, this is it. We're gonna lose the weight. I wrote in my journal. I said, obesity is dead to me. This is what I put in the journal. Obesity, literally, obesity is dead to me. And yeah, so I wrote that in my journal, and then the next day I got to work. Now, with the OMAD, I loved it, or alternate day fasting, right? I loved it because I didn't have to worry about, okay, what I'm gonna eat. I didn't have to, well, we'll talk about that. But I'm saying it took the pressure off of trying to figure out, okay, thinking about food all day, what I'm gonna eat, all these different things, right? It just took all of that off of me. And then when it was my time to sit down and just eat, I could just have that meal and then be done with it, and I'm going about my day. So I started the OMAD, or alternate day fasting. And so that was April 2020. So 10 months later, I had dropped over 100 pounds just by incorporating fasting, the OMAD, and then the walking. Now, eventually, I did start weight training, kettlebell training. I started at first. So that first 10 months, all I did was kettlebell training, and I loved it. I worked my way up to being able to kettlebell train and all of that. But initially, walking and OMAD was just so powerful for me because, like I said, in the beginning of my journey, I couldn't do a whole lot. And, I was in the Air Force for almost 9 years. So I knew I had to incorporate some form of cardio into my journey. And then also I knew I had to incorporate some form of strength training. And my thing is, it's so much knowledge out there, concerning weight loss. And I was one where, I was battling this thing for like 10 years after I had children. Well, after I had my last baby, Hope, it's when I only gained 15 pounds when I was pregnant with her, but my weight was just really up and down. And then within those last 2 to 3 years of her life, I had got up to my highest, just, dealing with life and different issues. Um, and so it was so much information out there about where to start or what to do. And then two, I was like a serial dieter. So I mean, dieted like my whole life, just trying to be a certain size or whatever the case. And yeah, so just I would try like Jenny Craig. I mean, you name it, anything that hit the market that was fresh, that was new, I did it. And I just, in the hopes of losing the weight. But I would remember the HCG diet, all of Jenny Craig, HCG. I was doing what else? Slim Fast. I mean, you name it. I was doing all of them. And so I got to a point where I was just really tired of doing that. Like, I was just really tired of, going through the motions. And I'll start those things for a day, for like a week, I'll do it. And then 2 weeks later, I'm giving up on it, So I was tired of that cycle. And like I said, there's so much information out there about losing weight and getting in shape and all that stuff. So it seemed I was kind of overwhelmed with, okay, what should I do? So um, walking and fasting was just really, really effective for me. It was hard in the beginning because I was used to eating a lot of food, and not having any restrictions in my diet. But once I decided to start the OMAD, it was a game changer for me. Like I said, everyone is different. You can do what's right for you. But I know for me, walking in OMAD was perfect, and I enjoyed doing it. So it's a lot of information out there about losing weight, getting in shape. and all these different things. But you just got to do what's right for you. And I was able to do it because I made up in my mind, like, you got to get this weight off of you. This is, ultimately, I want to be the person that God has called me to be. And I couldn't do that um, in the state that I was. Really, it was just the mindset, just really like, okay, just accepting it. No, you don't have to accept being this way. You just choosing to. So I chose to, start making some other decisions, and it turned out to be one of the greatest journeys of my life. Like, it really just changed my mindset. um but so what I would do is, so say, like, for instance, on a Monday, I would get up, get my children off to school, and then I would put my daughter in her stroller, and then we would go and walk for about 30 minutes, and eventually up to 40 minutes, and then I increased it over time. And then I wouldn't eat anything until about maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, just depending on my schedule. But I really pushed out my eating until about 6 o'clock in the evening. And it was really, really, really good for me. Because, like I said, I didn't have to worry about, okay, meal prepping. I don't like meal prepping. I don't like counting calories. I don't like doing any of that stuff. So the OMAD was just really, it was simple for me. And what I find is, when you keep it simple, you tend to, you'll stick with it. So I I was able to stick with it because I kept it really, really, really simple. I didn't overly complicate my diet, and then I didn't complicate my routine. I kept it very simple. And then when I would eat, here's the kicker: when I would eat, I would eat things like, I didn't eat any fried food, right? I would eat like protein. I'll have some chicken. I'll have a vegetable, and then I'd have some nuts or something to that effect, and a fruit, right? So I tried to keep it pretty balanced. And like I said in the beginning, I made sure that my plate was hefty enough so that I wouldn't get full. Um, and that worked. And then over time, I was able to just, you know, pull back my portions until I felt comfortable, like, satisfied enough, not overly full, and not, you know, underwhelming, like my appetite, like I felt ravenous or anything. Like, I made sure I was like right in the middle. And that worked for me. Like, oh man, it really worked for me. And it's something that I still practice to this day. I've been able to maintain that weight loss, this 100-pound weight loss, because I really learned what worked for my body. And I think that's the whole key. Like, um, just really knowing what works for you and your body is going to be powerful, because you'll hear someone say, like, oh, I lost like 20 pounds, right? Or 30 pounds. And you listen to what they did, and then you go and try and do it. And sometimes people find success in doing that, but I'm just saying, like, you got to find what works for you. And that's what I said in the beginning of the conversation. Like, you really got to find out what works for you and your body, because fasting may not be good for your body. But I know for me, it was amazing, because not only did it help me as far as with just losing the weight, but I was able to really learn how to be disciplined in my eating habits. I was able to, draw closer to God. Um, I was able to get more focused and productive, right? That productivity was powerful. Like, I was really able to hone in on, all these things that I wanted to do, because when I started my journey and I was fasting, and, I started kettlebell training eventually, maybe like 4 or 5 months in. um, I was like, man, I really, over time, I saw myself losing the weight. And I was really like, man, I can do it, right? I can do it. And that's the thing. Like, we can do it. We can get in shape, and we can fasting really just helped me realize, like, girl, like, you need to get on it. You can stay on it, right? Like, just getting laser sharp focus. And during that time, I remember I lost the weight. I lost 100 pounds, and then I was like, okay, I was able to do something that I thought I could never do, right? Drop 100 pounds. I'm like, okay, what's next? So I was like, okay, you always want to write a book. Let's write the book. So and no one taught me how to do that, right? It wasn't like someone sat me down and was like, hey, this is how you write a book from A to Z, right? So I went and learned, right? I went to the library and I got books on how to write a book. I got on the internet and I started doing research about, how to write a book, how to format it, all those different things, how to cover design, like all those things that goes into writing a book. I learned it, and I was able to gain the knowledge, and gaining that knowledge, it allowed me to help other people in their book, in them writing their books, or and whatever the case, consulting. So that was powerful, right? So it's like, man, the fasting really just helped me to hone in, and I lost, like I said, wrote the book, and then I'm like, okay, we can do it. Whatever you it made me realize, like, look, whatever you put your mind to do, you can do it. By God's grace, you can get it done. You don't have to um settle. You don't have to just settle for just anything, right? Or just the status quo, or just, mediocrity, all those different things. Like, no, you can do it. So I'm grateful for that journey. So, like I said, alternate day fasting, oh man, it just really, really helped me to learn how to eat for my body, right? It really helped me to, okay, you don't need all that food like you thought you needed. And I'm still on my journey. I know I still have some ways to go, but but for the most part, I was able to lose that weight because of those two things, really, walking. And then I thoroughly enjoy walking. To this day, I still walk. I have a routine where I'll get my children off to school, and then I'll go walk maybe for an hour and a half to 2 hours, just depending on my schedule. And I know that that's a lot of time. But here's the thing, I spent majority of my time walking, right, than anything else, right? So strength training, I was strength trained maybe about 1 or 2, 3 times a week. That was maybe what, 20, 30 minutes tops. But majority of my time was spent walking. And we know walking has like a whole lot of health benefits and different things. But for me, I just love being out in nature. I love just I've met so many wonderful people out on my walks, right? I love just being out in the sun. It's very therapeutic. I can it's relaxing. I'll put on the word. I'll be meditating on the word of God, or I'll be praying, or I'll listen to a podcast like I'm doing now. Yes. So it's just like walking, really, I just thoroughly enjoy it. Like it's become really just fun. It's just fun, and it's relaxing. It helps me with my mental, health and different things. So for instance, if I get mad about something, or, sometimes, things happen, or whatever the case, life events happen, and I'll just get up and just, go for my walk, and I'm good. Like, I just thoroughly enjoy it. And so many people have come up to me, like, out on my walks, saying, man, we seen I had one couple come up to me and tell me he would see me walking every day, and he saw me from the beginning, and he was saying he looks at me now and he was like, man, you did it the right way. And it inspired him and his wife so much that they started walking, right? They started their journey. So so I'm just saying, like, when you're walking in your purpose, literally walking, when you're walking in your purpose, you never know who you are touching, right? Whose life you are pouring into, right? And I didn't even have to say one word to this person, and they, you know what I'm saying, they just they were watching me and they watched my journey, and it inspired them to start walking and fasting and all these different things, right? So you never know, walking in your purpose, how it will empower someone else. Even if you can't see the results right away, just know that your life matters. And the thing is, God put us all here for a purpose. And when I'm telling you, when you're walking in your purpose, you're gonna empower, inspire others. I've had so many people just tell me over time how my journey has helped them. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really, really grateful for that, because sometimes you you think you're not making an impact, but it's happening. It's happening. So yeah, walking, fasting, all those things really helped me, and I still practice those things to this day, right? To keep the weight off, I walk. That's all I do. um well, I strength train now. I strength train about maybe 2 to 4 times a week, just depending on the schedule. And so still trying to build muscle and all those different things. But walking has been just really, really powerful for me. I thoroughly enjoy it. And I thought about running, but I don't like running. I ran for 9 years in the Air Force, and I'm like, and when I would run, they have this thing called runner's high. And it is a real thing. And I thoroughly enjoyed running at the time. But now, I'm getting older, and I don't know, I don't like running as much like I used to. But I thoroughly enjoy the walking. Like the walking is where it's at. And a lot of people, they kind of underestimate the power of walking, but walking is so powerful. A lot of people underestimate it, but I stand by it. I was able to lose. And the thing is, I was diagnosed with, PCOS and all that, or whatever the case. And I was over 35 at the time too. And I was able to drop that weight. And they say with PCOS, it's harder for you to lose weight because your insulin is so high and different things like that. And the fasting really helped me bring my hormone levels in check. Because when your hormone levels are in check, it's easier for you to lose the weight. So yeah, so and a lot of women deal with PCOS and different things like that. But fasting is really and then too, fasting is a really good way to kind of keep, lower the hormones and all those, well, lower insulin. Insulin resistance is a real thing, right? So for me, fasting really helped me to kind of bring those levels in check, and was able to help me really lose the weight. So so yeah, peace, and like I said, I dropped that weight. I was over 35, 36. And I'm still, like, if I go on vacation or whatever the case, and say like I eat, I enjoy and I eat, whatever the case, I go right back to my usual routine, and the weight comes off. Um so like I said, you just got to figure out what's good for you, what's right for you and your body type. And I'm telling you, the rest is history. That weight will pour off. And but also just keeping it simple. I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? Walking and fasting, all that helped me. But what I'm saying is, I kept my routine very simple. I started realizing, okay, what my body responded to and what it liked. And so everything that I was trying in the past, it didn't work for me. And I knew you had to eat healthy. I mean, I already knew that, but I just, for whatever reason, I just could never stick with it. But when I was like, okay, I'm serious about getting this weight off, and then let me be serious about walking and fasting, that's when everything clicked. That's when everything changed. My life literally changed because I made the decision, like, I'm no longer going to keep this weight on me, right? And I'm going to get this weight off by any means necessary. I was to that point. So you got to stick with it, girl. You can't be playing games with your life, So I enjoy fasting. I enjoy walking, and the fasting, like I said, it really helps me to stay productive and focused. And yeah, I was also saying too, like, if I'm on a vacation or something like that, and I'm enjoying myself, but I go right back to my routine. Develop a routine. You gotta, these habits that we build, right? We see the long-term goal, but it's those little things that you do every day that's gonna lead you to your goal. So for me personally, I never could lose like I could never lose like 20 pounds in a month. Like I know I know people who can lose 20, 30 pounds in a month. I could never do that, right? I lost like maybe 1 or 2 pounds a week, right? But I stayed consistent with it, even though it was a slower progress, right? But I've been able to keep it off. Sometimes if you lose weight too fast and you don't really learn how to really lose it, keep it off, then you won't be as successful. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna have to end my live because my battery is dying. Oh my goodness. But I'll be back on probably tomorrow within a day or two. Yeah, tomorrow or within one day or two. So like I said, walking and fasting, really powerful. And thank you guys for listening. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you. God bless.